I need you.
Oh. What happened?
Too hard to tell.
Welcome back, everyone. This will be my full Marvel Hawkeye Episode 2 video and Easter eggs. There's a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, I'm doing videos for all the episodes, so be sure to subscribe to get everything. I'm also doing a giveaway for Disney Plus memberships. All you have to do to enter is just be a subscriber and leave your favorite WTF moment from the episode on the video. Careful for spoilers. If you have not seen the episode yet, we'll be talking about everything. Just starting at the beginning, we'll work our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs and WTF moments. Starting with the episode title, Episode 2 was titled Hide and Seek, which is a reference to the actual plot of the episode, which is Kate Bishop and Hawkeye trying to hide and find the Ronin costume. The plot starts to thicken a little bit with the mystery of Armand's death, but like I said during my Episode 1 video, I think they made it pretty clear that it was probably Swordmaster who was behind it, killing his uncle to gain his inheritance using Hawkeye's Ronin sword, which he stole from the auction. But the actual opening scene starts right where Episode 1 left off with the cliffhanger of Hawkeye ripping the mask off Kate Bishop and grilling her on why she has the Ronin costume. Like, what are you doing in this? They have a much quicker version of the Hawkeye custom intro with 2 arrows hitting the target just to represent Kate Bishop and Hawkeye teaming up. They reveal her apartment is above the pizza shop that sells the pizzas she was feeding to Lucky the pizza dog earlier in Episode 1. And just like a fangirl, she starts grilling him on all his methods and his moves, while he jokes about her being a little kid, just calling her on her skills. Like, the world's greatest archer, are you one of the people that calls you the world's greatest archer? Yes. She says she inherited her apartment. I think that's a reference to her dad, but she doesn't really explain what the apartment was used for before she started living there. You look around, you notice the archery training setup she has, purple target for purple Hawkeye colors. She asks him to sign her bow, all just doing the whole fangirl thing, just going crazy. Oh my god, Hawkeye is in my apartment. Like I said during my Episode 1 video, she is like the world's greatest Hawkeye fangirl. They reveal that he totally knows everything about the tracksuits, who they are, all from his time as Ronin during that 5-year time jump. Now, he doesn't tell her that he was Ronin, and I don't know if she's connected the dots yet, but during Episode 1, Kazi, the clown, has that weird reaction when he sees her in the Hawkeye Ronin costume, like, Ronin, oh my god. So I think the idea is that Hawkeye almost killed Kazi in a lot of these other tracksuits during that time period, so that's why they hate him so much. And surprise, surprise, they tracked her back to her apartment and her name is on the buzzer, so it's more of that record scratch kind of comedy that they're using, the Die Hard level of comedy. They have that funny action scene with the Molotov cocktails, with them just going back and forth. Like I said, the tracksuits are basically meant to be a bunch of incompetent fools. Kazi, the clown, Echo, some of the other assassin characters in the series are meant to be genuinely badass though. It's just the tracksuits that are supposed to be really funny. In a really cool Easter egg, Matt Fraction himself said that he was supposed to have a cameo scene in the series because they're basing it a lot on the plot of his comic book as one of the tracksuits. But when they were getting ready to film his scenes, he wasn't able to travel because of the virus just during that period of 2020. So there isn't any kind of Matt Fraction cameo scene during the series, but there was supposed to be one. They make a big joke about taking off to get more Avengers supplies, but them just being medical supplies from a regular bodega. That's meant to be a reference to the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run. During that, he spends a lot of time reminding you that Hawkeye has no superpowers, no mutant healing factor like Wolverine, so every little cut, every bruise, every broken bone, every explosion, he feels it and has to treat it like you would treat any old wound. So as the Hawkeye comic book run story goes on, you start to see him running around in more and more bandages, more and more cuts and bruises all over his face. And it's the same for Kate Bishop. Like during the episode, they show him treating her wound, like she shows up in each episode with more and more little cuts and scrapes all over her face. Just to show you that they're regular people, like they don't have superpowers. They also make a joke about this when he explains why he's going deaf to her. Like he kind of brushes it off like, I'm not really sure why I'm going deaf. But they give you that big montage of all these different Avengers movie scenes of huge explosions and him just getting his ass kicked all over the place. And if it wasn't clear, him going deaf is actually something that they did in the comics. They're being more comic book accurate. They just never really addressed it during the Marvel movies so far. She references the Avengers Tower, and he reminds us that Tony sold it a few years ago during the events of Spider-Man Homecoming. The Marvel people were also talking about that recently. They said that they love all the Fantastic Four Baxter building theories that people have, but it's still going to be a couple years before they officially reveal what's going on with the old Avengers Tower. I did a bunch of videos about that when Spider-Man Far From Home came out, because during the scene where they reveal the newly redesigned Avengers Tower, whoever bought it, there are a lot of Fantastic Four Easter eggs in this scene. So I'll add links for that down in the description below. They also remind you that because this part of town that they're in, Midtown near Hell's Kitchen, is also not too far away from where the Avengers Tower used to be. When they go to her aunt's apartment, I believe a lot of the names here are names of comic book creators and some of the members of the Hawkeye series crew. Anytime you see a giant list of names in a TV series, sometimes there'll be a couple Easter eggs, and sometimes they'll just be the names of crew members, people behind the camera. She uses pizza to con her way into the building. They're just doing more Lucky the Pizza Dog Easter eggs. Raise your hand if you also started to want more pizza by the end of the episodes. Like, pizza actually sounds pretty good right now. Like the Hawkeye series is just one secret giant ad for pizza. She shows off some of her lock-picking skills, and we also find out that Hawkeye has a cat allergy, which is actually brand new information.
Is there cats in here?
No, just cat hair.
When he goes back to her apartment using the firefighter's uniform, the number 54 on his helmet is meant to be a reference to Avengers 54, which was a Black Knight Avengers crossover story where Jarvis winds up betraying the team, allowing villains to get into the Avengers mansion. We just met Kit Harington's Black Knight during the Eternals movie, and he just got the Ebony Blade during the post-credit scene. Just like the Kang the Conqueror Easter egg during Episode 1, there are a lot of Marvel Phase 4 Easter eggs during the Hawkeye series. It's weird how much stuff this is connected to, but I guess that shouldn't be a surprise because it is a Marvel series. Everything is meant to be connected. They set up the whole plot with the LARPers and the cosplaying going on in Central Park for the next day. If it wasn't clear, one of the firefighters is a LARPer and stole the costume from the crime scene. When he goes back to Kate Bishop's aunt's apartment, the poster in the background here is Creature from the Black Galaxy. It's meant to be a fictional movie inside the MCU. It's supposed to be a spoof of the Universal Studios Creature from the Black Lagoon movie. But the names on the poster, the actors here, are also big comic book Easter eggs. Moira Brandon was an extremely short-lived character introduced during Avengers West Coast number 100. Hawkeye was a big character during Avengers West Coast. Jeremy Renner even said that he would love to come back to lead a West Coast Avengers team in a future Marvel Phase 4 project, making it sound like Yelena Belova will not be successful in killing Hawkeye during the Hawkeye series. But in the comics, Moira Brandon used to own the house that the Avengers bought and turned into the West Coast Avengers mansion. The Luke Ballard name here is a reference to a real-life visual design artist for Marvel Studios. In the Black Galaxy itself is an actual location in Marvel Comics. It's a very Bermuda Triangle-like dangerous galaxy that winds up eating a lot of spaceships. It's also the place where Ego the Living Planet was created. They make a bunch of Grinch references because obviously there's this Christmas theme that runs throughout the series because it's the Christmas holiday when this is all happening. But she calls him the Grinch because he's being so grumpy. But then he says he's only being like that because she stole his Christmas like the Grinch did during the Dr. Seuss story. She officially gives the dog the Lucky the Pizza Dog name, saying she's thawing out his breakfast and icing her wound at the same time. They start teasing out the development of their relationship as mentor and student as he teaches her the correct way to treat her forehead wound. The next day, when he's sending his kids back home, they make another reference to sign language and him going deaf, just reminding you that he is going deaf, and also setting up the big Echo twist later. She is a deaf character in the comics. And they establish the whole premise, him trying to clean up the Ronin mess and make it home in time for Christmas. I'll be home in time for Christmas. Famous last words. When the police start connecting the Ronin costume and Kate Bishop to Armand's murder, you notice that there's another Captain America Rogers musical ad on the TV. There'll probably be even more of these throughout the future episodes, just seeing the Rogers musical ads all over the place. They pass by a bunch of Avengers cosplayers, and she starts joking about him not having good branding as a superhero or an Avenger. But like I said, he doesn't really care about that kind of stuff. He doesn't like recognition. He actively tries to avoid attention like that. He spent pretty much every single Marvel movie after the first Avengers movie trying to retire and not being able to. Like, been trying to get out of the game, but they keep pulling me back in. She tries to give him a bit of a pep talk, and her whole argument about people post-Endgame wanting more sincerity from their superheroes, not super grimdark or self-serious heroes, you could also take as a joke on the darker DC movies.
You're so dark! Do you sure you're not from the DC universe?
They also set up a big joke with his trick arrows, him lying, saying that there are no trick arrows, when trick arrows are actually a huge part of his character in the comics and during the Matt Fraction Hawkeye comic book run. He's used them in every single Avengers movie. Here are a couple of them. It's just that they don't focus a lot on them too much. Like, he'll just use them and they'll brush past it really quickly. Then when Kate Bishop goes up to her mother's office, she immediately starts grilling Swordmaster about the murder, and then later during the family dinner, just turning it into this big cat and mouse game that she's playing with him. Hawkeye goes LARPing in Central Park to try and get the Ronin costume back from this firefighter, and it's this whole battle royale scenario. They just play it for a lot of comedy. Hawkeye agrees to take the L to get the costume, but they turn it into another separate huge big thing, joking that having to go through all these steps to get the costume is somehow worse than fighting Thanos. Like, I fought Thanos.
I fought Thanos.
Kate Bishop does exactly what he told her not to do, starts texting him nonstop like she's writing some kind of book. When she jokes about him being busy with his friends, she is kind of referencing the Avengers, but also then kind of burns him, saying that he doesn't have any real friends, which, ouch, because Natasha was his best friend and she's dead now. Like I said, they will continue to reference Black Widow several times throughout all the episodes. Part of him working with Kate Bishop will be him also using their kind of relationship to deal with his grief over the death of Black Widow. True to his word, the firefighter brings him the Ronin suit after he goes down, then he just puts it in a storage locker in case he needs it later. His wife references the countdown clock to Christmas again, saying 5 days till Christmas, and references Black Widow again by name. Then at their dinner, Kate Bishop winds up grilling Swordmaster. They verbally spar back and forth at the dinner table, foreshadowing their actual sparring match with the swords later. The fight is also meant to show you Swordmaster's skills and how good he is at deception. Like, it's pretty clear that he's lying, like we all kind of know as the audience that he's lying to her. But it's when he disarms her so quickly, so easily, and with such a flourish, that I think they're just trying to show you how badass he is. And hopefully hype up a big sword match with Hawkeye later in the series. Like I said, I think there's some deep connection between him and Hawkeye when Hawkeye was Ronin during that 5-year time jump. Like he has some vendetta against Hawkeye. Then, big mistake, Kate Bishop tells her mother about her huge theory that Jack killed his uncle to get the inheritance using Hawkeye's Ronin sword without considering that her mother might also be connected to everything. I think they're trying to play that like it's some big twist, like, oh, shocking reveal, I didn't realize that you were also connected to all this shady stuff. It's not really till he offers her the monogram butterscotch candy that she really freaks out, like, oh, this confirms all of my suspicions, you are definitely the person who murdered him. And I feel like the actor who's playing Jack Duquesne here, Swordmaster, did a really good job. The reaction on his face does not betray any emotion. Like, he just kind of shrugs, like it's not clear whether or not he's on to Kate Bishop, whether he suspects her, whether or not he thinks that she knows that he's behind this. Later, Hawkeye lets himself be captured by the tracksuit bros so that he can find out who's behind them. Like, how high up does this go? He's just trying to find out who their boss is. One of them says she wants him alive, Hawkeye alive. That turns out to be Echo, who in the comics works for Kingpin, so it just keeps going up. Like, Echo is not the end of this. She is not the person at the top of the food chain here. When Kate Bishop is trying to track him down, the login for her phone app, 11/20/12, seems like an Avengers reference and a reference to the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run, because the Hawkeye run started in 2012, the same year, 2012, that the Avengers Battle of New York also took place. The place where the tracksuits take him, that warehouse, is in Hell's Kitchen, starting to bump up against more Daredevil Easter eggs and references. But when they start complaining about how hard it was for them to find a spare warehouse to interrogate him in because everything's being converted to lofts nowadays, that's another reference to the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run. During that, the difference in the story was the tracksuits controlled the building where Hawkeye rented an apartment, and they're trying to evict all of the elderly tenants so they can convert the building into more expensive real estate. And Hawkeye's trying to stop them from doing that. Just as they reference Kate Bishop in the Ronin costume, she crashes through the skylight. Like I said, more comedic action. It's a big parody of a superhero landing. Look at it, superhero landing. They even give her this really grand sounding superhero landing music as she splats on the ground. Then when they reveal Echo for the first time, like her debut scene here, the red light is meant to be a reference to Daredevil. She's from the Daredevil comics. She was raised by Kingpin to be an assassin. She is deaf, which is why she's touching the speakers when they play the music, and why she motions to the tracksuit bro to get out of the room. And in the comics, the reason why she's called Echo is because her ability is to copy people's moves on the fly, kind of like Taskmaster, and is even badass enough to beat Daredevil in a one-on-one fight. Then, like I said, the new end credits, like all these graphics made to look like the Matt Fraction Hawkeye comic book art, this is all plot from upcoming episodes, with them fighting the tracksuits, the car, everything. So it's almost like they're giving you a teaser for episode 3 in comic book form over the credits. But obviously they'll get into more of Echo's character and her backstory during episode 3 next week. And like I said, each episode will air one per week like normal from now on. So my full Hawkeye episode 3 video will post next Wednesday. If you spotted any other big Easter eggs in the episode that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them below in the comments. I think we'll start seeing some more Daredevil and Kingpin Easter eggs as we get more of Echo's character. They are doing a full spin-off series with Echo. They already announced it during that Marvel Disney Plus day and all the trailers. Supposedly that series is supposed to feel like a Daredevil Season 4, like they're bringing back all the Daredevil Netflix characters and actors, and it'll be kind of like they're just continuing on in their storyline. I'm not really expecting to see a lot of Yelena Belova Easter eggs or even her showing up till the later episodes. I'll name a giveaway winner when I post my next big Marvel video. Everyone click here for my full Hawkeye Episode 1 video, and click here for my brand new Spider-Man No Way Home video with Venom and Morbius Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.